Shrouded in dark, gloomy clouds, the Arkansas morning slowly emerged from the gloomy sky. The earth was still damp from the spring rain that fell all night. Birds timidly chirped from leaf-covered trees while the familiar white house on the hill sat in an odd calm. After being a hub of activity with 19 children and a reality show crew, the silence was deafening. Michelle Duggar has always been up before the sun. She was getting ready for breakfast, carrying her Bible, and wearing clothes, and brewing coffee for Jim Bob, her spouse. She had made discipline, faith, and order the focal points of her life by 5 o'clock in the morning. She discovered God in every laundry basket, chore plan, and prayer circle. But that morning something wasn't quite right. She woke up with a tightness in her chest. Only pressure, no pain. She attributed it to stress and having too many thoughts. Jessa had called last night, due to demands from her kids. Jill had not responded to the 2 texts Michelle had sent her. Jinger, without a, had posted another unsettling image online while sporting pants and a head covering. There were murmurs after that. Welcome to Brave, everyone. Don't forget to give this video a positive rating. The growing allegations about their program, their family, the lawsuits, and their history are resurfacing like rotten fresh soil. Michelle chose to disregard it all. She hummed softly and smiled as usual as she used robotic fingers to pour grains into a pot. But the strain mounted. A hazy anguish radiated from her sternum. She leaned on the counter and stumbled. Her fingers slipped and the oatmeal container fell and split, spilling oats across the tile. She gasped. A sharp, scorching pain pierced her left side and mouth. She tried to call out, but her voice caught. Her legs buckled. The last thing she saw before darkness fell was the edge of the rug curling beneath the kitchen table. Then there was quiet. It was rare for Joanna to be running early. She decided to pay a quick visit to Grandma and drop off Gideon and muffins. She texted ahead but didn't hear back. Unusual but not threatening. She parked, called out casually, and entered through the side door. "We brought muffins, Mom." No answer. Gideon walked beside her, carrying a toy dinosaur. When Joy entered the kitchen, she let out a yell. Michelle's cardigan was bunched beneath her neck, her bare feet twitched a little, and her torso was crumpled. The spilled grain adhered to the blood vessels in her cheeks, creating a striking contrast to her pale complexion. When trying to dial, in a panic that left her gasping for air, Joy dropped her phone, snatched it up, and yelled into the receiver. She had icy hands and a raspy voice. She thought she was seeing her mother's death. On the floor of the kitchen, paramedics arrived. Michelle's clothing was cut open by them. They shouted about blood pressure, oxygen, and defibrillators. Joy watched, paralyzed. Bob pulled into the driveway a few minutes after Jim. He ran toward the lights and screamed Michelle's name. He was halted by a calm EMT who was restrained and guided him. "We're doing everything we can." Then she was gone. Into the ambulance, into the unknown. The cardiology unit at Washington Regional served as the new Duggar battleground. The first person to come was Jana. She held back her tears. She took charge. She called her family, prepared overnight bags, and printed the medical release form. Her speech was calm, her hands busy. She'd been in organized chaos all her life. But beneath her poise, something was collapsing. Jessa came next, her eyes blazing. She hesitated. After making an effort to pray, Jeremy and Jinger arrived hours later, their eyes gloomy and their makeup dirty. Jill even appeared. As soon as she stepped into the hospital, the tension rose like a drop in barometric pressure. Jim Bob barely looked at her. Jana fell silent. But Michelle's death was imminent. Historical grievances might wait. Josh even showed up, silent and by himself. The area gets denser. I avoided him at all costs. The walls appeared thinner. He remained on the periphery of the religious community and studied scripture in a forced Semite waiting room. Michelle had fallen into a coma. The experts say a widowmaker heart attack is big, sudden, and often deadly. She just made it to the hospital. Her survival would be determined over the next 72 hours. They took turns at her bedside. Each child looked at the face of the woman who had shaped their whole universe. The hair, once perfectly curled, was matted with sweat. Guilt was burning from her like flame. And the hands that had braided her hair and treated fevers were limp at her sides. Jill. wept beside her bed. "I apologize, Mama," she whispered. Looking at Michelle's expression, Jana recognized herself and said, "I didn't like how it ended." Joy was upset with God, her father, Michelle, and herself. One night, she stormed out of the hospital and didn't return until the following morning. Jess's voice faltered when she tried to lead prayer circles. Jinger couldn't even look at her. Her future, not just her appearance, confined to endless care. A life put on hold for everyone else. The Fisherers were wider on day 3. Argument broke out, angry but silent and hissing. At her mother, she only saw years of humiliation, anxiety, and performance. And underneath it all is a daughter who still longs for acceptance. Jim Bob didn't cry, but he stopped talking and muttered prayers that didn't make sense to him. He sat alone in the chapel. His faith had become the foundation of his dominion. Its queen was his wife. What was left without her? "You never asked me how I felt about any of it." Jessa stepped in front of them. Josh tried to read a devotional in the waiting room. Jana lost her temper. "Maybe not now." Jill sobbed in the chapel. She said that in a dream her mother whispered, "I'm sorry," in a golden light. No one knew how to deal with that. Michelle's body remained still, vanishing into the tubes and machinery. Jim Bob began to lose it. He told Jana that he had kept some. Michelle's recent financial losses. Their ministry had collapsed. The donations had stopped trickling in. He was terrified. "She always kept us upright," he said. "If she leaves, I don't know how to lead without her." On the 6th night, Michelle's heart rate dropped dramatically. Alarms went off, and crash crews rushed in. The family remained outside for 20 terrifying minutes, holding hands, praying, crying, and preparing for the worst before there was silence. The next morning, Jana sat next to her and sang quietly while the old hymn, "Great is Thy Faithfulness," drifted through the sterilized room. Michelle twitched her fingers, but Jana leaned in and froze. "Mom." Michelle's gaze wavered. Her mouth moved. "Jana." Jana called out to the nurse, and now she was back. Her vitals, however, were weak. The doctors called it a threshold moment. She was surrounded by family. Jill stayed longer than expected. She held Michelle's hand while brushing her hair. Michelle spoke to her with tears in her eyes. "I saw my mom as well as light and you weeping." Jill nodded. "I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to say goodbye." "You have my forgiveness," Michelle said. "You were never at fault." In the beginning, she was unable to speak much. It was slow, difficult, and delicate. She wept a lot. She was surrounded by family. "Then go," Michelle muttered one night, her eyes burning. It took months for Michelle to recover, but she changed. She refused to be photographed, she turned down invitations to new ministries, she stopped posting cliches online. She wrote lengthy handwritten letters to each child. Full of blessings, memories, and apologies, she asked for candor, and the family began to reunite, albeit in a different way. Jill returned, but on her own terms. They all had almost lost her, and in the process, they found something real. Would you like a big public reckoning with scandal as the children start revealing hidden secrets? Or perhaps a sequel that focuses on Michelle's long-term health? Jana took a guilt-free trip the first time. Michelle and Jinger actually spoke with her mother for hours. Jessa cried and accepted previous silences. Jim Bob also changed. He released the picture. He softened. He paid attention. Issues and how her near-death experience alters her role in the family, including conflicts with Jim Bob. And there's more. Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar own a lot of properties in and around Springdale, Arkansas. Even before TLC called, the Duggar family leaders were interested in purchasing homes, land, and business property because they claim it's how they feed their expanding family. While donations undoubtedly played a part, they continued to invest in real estate after becoming reality TV celebrities. The Duggars recently negotiated a land deal worth millions of dollars with Walmart, and after some research, we found that they also own a commercial building that was formerly a Mexican restaurant that Jinger recently mentioned on her podcast. Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar are now millionaires, and their younger children will never understand the financial hardship that their older ones have experienced. They were able to purchase sizable tracts of land in their home state thanks to their TLC paychecks, and this has paid off several times. Jinger recently talked about eating out as a child. relying on alumni since her husband Josh's CSEM arrest in April 2021. Anna Duggar has not been active on social media, siding with her spouse and believing he was innocent. A breach between Anna and some Duggar children who wanted Josh to suffer in prison was also revealed, but new rumors that Jim Bob had bought a $1 million. The home for Anna and her children shocked many people. Anna hasn't visited her husband in prison in a long time. The former Counting On cast member was reportedly absent on Josh's birthday in March of last year. Instead, several of his brothers were seen visiting him. This has led to rumors that Anna is moving closer to divorcing Josh, but since divorce is strictly forbidden in their church, many people question why she would do such a thing. Some supporters on social media think Jim Bob is now going above and beyond to prevent Anna from leaving his child. Counting On fans discuss reports on social media that Jim Bob bought his daughter-in-law, Anna, a $1 million home after a $1 million listing of a house close to the Duggar family. Some claim that Jim Bob bought the house and will temporarily allow Anna and her kids to live there. The Duggar family has not yet responded to the rumors. Some fans think it's a sign that Jim Bob is getting ready for his son's early release from prison. Anna Duggar recently made headlines when she showed up at a Keller family get-together in Florida. The family posed for a beachside photo while wearing matching white outfits, and while it's unclear what happened, it's clear they were having a good time. Fans were also surprised by how big some of Anna's kids were, and some Counting On viewers even claimed that Josh's kids are easily identifiable because Josh Duggar, who relies on alumni in prison, remains controversial despite their strong Duggar bloodlines. According to rumors, Jim Bob and Michelle's 37-year-old child was having a great time, and even getting rock star treatment while he was incarcerated. He also reportedly moved into a dorm with special perks and acquired a number of luxuries, such as shoes and sunglasses. However, it seems that Josh's circumstances have changed, as new reports suggest that he is currently going through hell behind bars. Josh and his prison cell were reportedly denied access to a number of benefits, including the ability to use their phones to communicate with their loved ones. They were also prohibited from attending their classes and other daily activities, and they were no longer allowed to leave their cells. Sources claim that Josh was sentenced because his cell was shaken down by illegal phones. Nevertheless, it seems that things will only get worse for the former cast member of Counting On. According to recent reports, Josh's suffering in prison has increased significantly. According to an informant, Josh's cell has been a hell on earth, and the former member of Counting On has been complaining and is in dire need of his family's help. Some people want to see Josh suffer, while others think he deserves sympathy. The informant continued by saying that it was difficult to listen to Josh talk about his time behind bars, and that he is still dealing with politics, inedible food, and continued punishment. The source claims that while not everyone wants him sprung, there are worries about discomfort, cold, and physical harm. Josh seems to be coping with the consequences of his offenses, which he will probably have to face until 2032. Additionally, his cell allegedly went on a hunger strike because the prison prohibited their recreational activities because they were using illegal phones, though it is unclear whether Josh participated in the strike. Additional sanctions were also imposed on the other inmates, and the authorities have changed their leisure activities and appointed a new warden who threatens the cell with more severe punishment if they are discovered in possession of any contraband. Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar have not yet responded to their son's worsening living conditions while incarcerated, while Anna recently made headlines after attending a Florida Keller family gathering. Since her husband Josh's CSEM arrest in April 2021, Anna Duggar has not been active on social media, relying on alumni. She helped him through his struggles and even tried to shield him from others, but after her husband was found guilty and sentenced to 12.5 years in prison, Anna finally left. It seems that the Counting On a Lamb has been psychologically affected by all the controversies, which may have contributed to her apparent weight gain. Whether Anna continues to visit her husband in prison has not been revealed, but insiders claim that the former cast member of Counting On did not pay her husband a visit at his birthday celebration in prison last March. Since then, fans have only seen Anna at a few family get-togethers and infrequent public appearances, but when she reappeared with her kids at a special event in Florida, many were shocked. Josh seems to have been living his best life despite everything. Social media users reacted to Anna Duggar's most recent appearance with her children at a Florida family gathering. According to reports, he was previously transferred to a new dorm with additional privileges. He was also spotted walking around the jail grounds wearing luxury items like sneakers and sunglasses. Insiders also claim that Josh has been signing newspapers about his CSM arrest, giving the impression that he is being treated like a rock star. Counting on alum. While they were getting dressed, they were all taking pictures in what appeared to be a beach, but the focus was on Anna and her growing children. Some commented on the family's outfit, while others asserted that Josh's children all had strong Duggar ancestry. Additionally, several public photos of Anna Duggar have surfaced online, and many others were similarly concerned by some of her photos. Some say the former member of Counting On has gained a significant amount of weight. Some may interpret it as depression. One body language expert says Anna has been defensive, which could mean she isn't interested in talking about her husband's imprisonment. Michelle and Jim Bob are reportedly supporting Anna, but she hasn't attended many Duggar family gatherings, which has sparked rumors that she and some of the kids are at odds. Because of their real estate holdings, reality TV shows, and other endeavors, Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar are now considered to be fairly wealthy. The older couple seems to be financially stable even without their TLC payments, but that wasn't always the case. When Jinger was a young child, the Duggar family was impoverished and often relied on donations from their church. Despite this, Jinger insists that they were able to eat out, but usually at a single restaurant that the Duggar family selected for a particular reason. You probably don't have many luxuries when you have a dozen siblings. It wasn't typical to sit down in a restaurant. With so many of her family members, it was just too expensive. Jinger, who testified that she didn't have much extravagance in her early years, says that they did occasionally make it to sit-down restaurants. In a recent episode of the Jinger and Jeremy podcast, Jinger recalled being allowed to dine out with her family at Taco Tyco, a nearby taco restaurant, because they had a weekend special. Although Taco Tiquico is a real restaurant with multiple locations, the only one close to Jinger's childhood home is in Texarkana, Texas. There was a Taco Tiquico near Springdale, Arkansas, but Jinger did not specify which place she and the Duggar family went to when they were poor, at least not until 2007. In 2007, the restaurant was prominently displayed on Google Maps. Tacos were only 10 cents each, and she and her siblings were allowed to order as many as they wanted, but they were not allowed to buy soft drinks. When Google took new pictures of the area in 2013, the taco stand had been replaced with a donut shop, which is now Cronut Donuts. If you want more exclusive rumors about the Duggar family, return to Brave for all of your mail updates.